You are going to be so glad you dropped by Media Champions today. Hey there, it's Mary Teresa in Atlanta, and we really are stoked today. We have Kasim Aslam on the show, who's going to share his subject matter expertise with all of you. Kasim, welcome to Media Champions.
Hi, Mary Therese. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. Now, you are the president and CEO of Solutions 8, and I'm curious to know how you got into this business. What led you here?
I failed miserably at everything else, and this was all that was left.
Stop. They say that about creative people. They do. I don't know who they are, but it's often been said that creative people might hit a bunch of roadblocks, but when they find that thing that lets them be the most creative, that's where they should have been the whole time.
Yeah, it takes off like a rocket ship. We found something to be, I guess, similar to that narrative. I had a full funnel digital marketing agency called Solutions 8. We're called Solutions 8 because I had 8 core service offerings, which tells you how stupid I am and was. So we were doing, web and software and apps and SEO and content and video and PPC. And what's interesting is the only service that I didn't provide in-house was Google Ads. And that ended up being the most scalable product for me because it was the only thing I didn't have to actually manage. We were outsourcing it at the time. And so we started to just, niche down into a sales agency. And I don't know if this is relevant or if it's going to sound like I'm bragging, but we're the number 1 ranked Google Ads agency on the planet. And we ultimately brought it in-house. It feels really good. Yeah, it's something I'm really proud of. Digital Marketer hired us to do their new paid traffic mastery certification. So, as far as pedigree is concerned, I think that we've sort of arrived, but it came from being able to sort of not be in full control and then leveraging the skills of other folks. And then as we grew, we were able to bring the agency in-house. So I don't know, from an audience perspective, whoever's listening, I think the advice I'd offer up, if that's relevant at all, is try to focus on one thing. I really like Gary Keller's book, The One Thing. And I read that, 2 years too late, but it rings really true. And it's one of the things that I think has made us really successful.
Talk me through an aha moment you've had with a customer who actually listened to your advice. Maybe they were a little skittish about it or they didn't understand it, but they took your advice and wow, the results were just fabulous. And they were like, Kasim, you're awesome because we got what you said we were going to get. It's got to make you feel
those
really
customers,
good.
They don't exist. Everybody fights us every step of the way, sadly. But not to be too petulant. What I tell people is we're normally everybody's plan B. We're the second call because we're more expensive. And then I also do a lot of expectation management. 50% of all Google Ads campaigns fail in the first 90 days. And people don't like hearing that. So they'd rather see really cheap vendors making really bold promises and then also following everything it is that you want them to do. And if you walk in dictating terms to your marketing agency and they accept those terms, chances are they're a really bad marketing agency. So what we find is people don't go with us the very first time. They go with somebody else for various reasons, and then they come back. That's something of the internal sales mantra at our agency, like, oh, it's okay, they'll be back. They have to go kiss some frogs. On the second round, they tend to be more receptive to our narrative. And the narrative is never sexy. Like I have very little to offer that's, window dressing or bells and whistles, because a lot of it is just it's testing an organic ecosystem. And that's the best advice that I can offer customers. People are like, oh, I'm going to go try Google Ads, or I'm going to test Google Ads, or I'm going to test Facebook ads. And I'm like, you're not testing Google. Google's testing you. We know Google works.
Exactly.
Statistically, Google's own data point says for every dollar invested by a long-term advertiser, they make $8 back. Like, we know that Google has an 800% ROI. The question is can your business perform in the coliseum that is Google Ads? Like, if I take you and I drop you off into this octagon with all of your biggest competitors, can you compete? Are you answering your phone? Do you charge adequately? Is your profit margin significant enough to be able to afford this click? Can you pay what your customers are willing to pay for their clients? Do you follow up? Do you have an adequate ascension model, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? So you're not testing Google, you're testing whether or not you can actually compete. And generally speaking, that takes 90 days. It can take longer. We've seen signs of life faster as well. But I think that that's the thing that customers really, really need to absorb is there's no, it's not like I have buttons other people don't have. It's not like the agency can really make or
No,
break
but you
you.
know what? What you're doing, Kasim, is you're educating people, and that's so important because knowledge is power. And you certainly have that knowledge and you have that track record. I would even go out on a limb and say that you're probably a serious reality check for a lot of people. They think they know
We
what they
talk a
want.
lot of people out of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and you
you're
know
absolutely
what?
right.
They should be thanking you for that, I think.
Yeah, depends on the folks, depends on their temperament. You get people that come in and they just think they know what they know, and that's fine. Like, God bless them. I'm rooting for them. And that's the other piece of this is I have a heart for small businesses. I'm rooting for them. I really want them to be successful. But there are folks that we don't take on. There are industries that are just burned wholesale. Residential realty is a really good example. I will not take a residential realtor as a client. It doesn't matter how much money you have to spend because it's so incestuous. It's like a snake eating its own tail. People are paying more per click than the lead is worth. And
Mhm.
it's put the entire industry in a position to where it's no longer viable. General dentistry has a similar problem. It's not quite as burned out. I'll take some general dentists depending on the geography that they're in and the services they offer. But you have whole markets that have been destroyed, and it's because they have dumb money or they're just over competitive. And those are things that we have to look at and then kind of back into. So there's a lot of like really horrible promises being offered up inside the digital marketing realm. And, our approach is to just tell people the truth. And again, it's not
Hey,
the sexiest narrative, but it ends up being the longest term.
no, but you know what they say, the truth shall set you free. And I'll take Cossum for 200, Alex. That's what I want. You are awesome, Cossum, and I hope that you'll come back on the program because there's so much more that you and I can talk about in this world of educating people in media and marketing. Will you come back on the show?
I'd love to. Yeah. Thanks, Mary Therese.
Thank you so much. And we will be in touch so we can get you back on here so we can continue this fascinating discussion about media and marketing. For the rest of you, if you want to make that connection to COSM, we can do that. You got to find us. And we are at dailyatbrief.com. Thanks for dropping by, Media Champions. Hope you'll come back for more. I'm Mary Therese in Atlanta. Make it a great day.
Simplify presents Addressable CTV, combining the power of TV with the targeting and attribution of digital. Simplify's Addressable CTV delivers massive reach with the ability to scale without sacrificing precision. TV buyers can generate incremental reach with household level targeting, frequency controls, reporting, and insights. To learn more about Simplify's Addressable CTV and what it can do for your clients, visit simply.fi.